What's up everypony, it's Staccato here, and today I'm gonna show you all how I made the remix, my remix for Under Our Spell. We've all heard it, at least I assume. I'm talking to bronies here. Let's just dive right in. Start with the intro, my version. I assume you all heard the original. If you haven't heard it because you're not a brony, just go ahead and Google the Dazzlings Under Our Spell so you know the context in which so you know the original and you know what I changed, what I did differently. But it just starts out with a little pluck sequence, just playing the intro chords. And it's a sound I made myself. However, I am gonna play it without the filter. So... It just, it's a super saw pluck with some spectral synthesis on top. You don't really hear the spectral synthesizer, but it just adds a little bit more. It makes it just a bit more vibrant than a regular super saw. It doesn't. It's like just a pinch of salt on, on food. Yeah, so it just plays together with a very simple intro, just literally this.
Now that you're under our spell.
And so it's very simple, it doesn't need much, and the intro of the original is very simple as well. Then we come to the first verse. I'm just gonna mute the vocals real quick, because it's very simple as well. It's just a kick, a bass, a piano, and a ride sample that's to offset all the low notes, because it's very bass heavy. At first I wanted to do this with a snap or very light clap with a lot of reverb on it, but that just sounded too happy, not dark enough. I mean, this is the Dazzlings. They're literally evil beings from Equestria coming to take over the world. You don't use a clap. Or at least you do use a clap, but not in this context. So it's very simple. I'm just gonna play this combo because this is something that I use as a substitute for an 808 because I don't like 808s. They're a bit too heavy and you can't really, or at least not really the way I want it, modify them. And this is a combo that can substitute an 808 and it can actually be heavier than an 808 and it can also be a lot lighter and you have a lot more control because the initial punch and the tail are two different sounds. So what's the kick that I used? This is a kick everyone who uses FL Studio 12 or has used FL Studio 12 has this kick. Because it's the kick from the demo project. You know, every version of FL Studio has a demo project that opens up the first time you use it. This is that kick. This is literally, as a joke 2 years ago, just opened up the demo project and I really like the kick and it's very versatile because it's very heavy, or it can be heavy with a bit of effects, which is literally just a Maximus preset. It's this preset, Punchy Drums 2, and that really transforms the kick and makes it a lot punchier, a lot heavier, and you can modify it a bit further. But just a combination of this kick and a bass block that I made for my track Lycos, which is the first track in which I used this combo as a substitute for an 808. This is a modification of that preset. And it sounds like this. So it's really heavy, really deep, but because it's based on a sawtooth wave, instead of an oversaturated sine, you have a lot more control. Because you're not saturating, you're not creating frequencies, you're using a filter and modulation to take away frequencies from an already existing note. And I think it sounds a lot more natural or a lot more easier to control, but that's just, You know, that's just me. I know some people would prefer an 808 over this, but this is something I quote unquote invented. And I really like the way it sounds. Yeah. And, you know, with the piano, it's a Nexus piano. However, my next purchase, today I was at a music production store. It's called Bakshop. It's in the Netherlands. But I was there today to buy a new microphone, and someone was testing a MIDI keyboard with a certain plugin, and that plugin is not within my budget right now. However, it will be very soon, so I very soon will no longer have to use Nexus pianos, which would be a huge upgrade because it sounds like this. You know, anyone who has some experience as a producer recognizes the Nexus piano and immediately knows you're an amateur. But, yeah, and it's... Did I use any effects? No, I don't... Yeah, sidechain. I use sidechain, but this is just a raw piano. I didn't do any equalization or not even reverb. So that's the first verse, and this is the pre-chorus. Oh. This is the pre-chorus. The music makes you the music makes you move it. Got the song that makes you lose it. We say jump, you say how high. Put your hands up to the sky. Got the music makes you move it. Got the song that makes you lose it. We say jump, you say how high. Put your hands up to the sky. So for the pre-chorus, it's very simple. I just did the vocals, the piano, which we all heard, and this percussion loop. And since it's stretched, it sounds like shit, but you don't hear that in the final production, so I just left it like this. And it's modified. It's slightly modified. Yeah, there's just Maximus. I took out the lows, boosted the highs, and... Wait, I didn't use it. No. I took off the equalizer because it was a bit too much, so I just did it with Maximus instead, which is a compressor thing. I don't know exactly what it is. It just does stuff, and you can regulate certain frequency bands. So, yeah. It was just, you know, I needed to make it sound a little less like shit. Which I just made it sound worse on its own, but for some reason it was better in the final production. And this is a drum roll loop from a Tropical House pack. But I also used it in Celestia, which is a little bit darker track as well, and it really worked. So, yeah, I just needed a drum roll, and this one sounded right. So, and some percussion effects, which sounds really awesome. Which is very simple. It's literally just Kashmir samples. I use, you know, I think the Kashmir Volume 1 and 2... at least for percussion sounds that aren't trance drums are like my go-to packs. I have a whole library, and 99% of it I never use. I think 70% of all my samples I have never used before, which is actually quite normal. You know, if you're a producer, you know what I'm talking about. You just expand your sample library, you buy an entire new sample pack, use it once, and never use it again. That's the way... You know, that's the way it works. But then we come to the final part of the build-up, and this is actually a thing that I always use very often. You build up, and you take away all the build-up elements, but you do it in a way that, and you leave one thing, in this case the drum roll, so you leave that little bit of tension, but you don't have... You leave that little bit of tension, but you don't have a lot of sound going on, so the drop hits a bit harder. So, I'll demonstrate it real quick. Especially if the drop isn't that hard, like in this case. The entire track is... there's not a lot of dynamic range, so the drop versus breakdown... It's like maybe, I think... 3 decibel difference? I don't know. I have to check the waveform, but I think it's about 3 decibels from, you know, like... The intro is really soft, but everything else from here. I just calculated from here. I think The drop is maybe 2 or 3 decibels louder than everything else, but that's not a lot, because usually I aim for like 5 or 6 decibels. So the drop is 4 times, no, it's incremental. 3 is 2, 2 again. Yeah, there's like, it's a lot louder. It's a lot louder, a lot stronger, so it hits really hard. And this, if you take away the elements but keep the tension, you can really make it sound, make an impact with the drop, and you know, without needing to turn everything down by 6 decibels. But now we've come to the drop, and it's literally just everything coming together. We have the plucks from the intro, and we have, what's this? This is a violin. Oh, wait, what? Oh, yeah. Why is it doing that? It's... And I think I just discovered a mistake. Okay. I didn't know this. I think it's that one automation thing that FL Studio does. Yeah. But it doesn't really matter. We're moving on. I can explain all that's happening. I know what's going on. I know what mistake I made. It doesn't matter. The final production sounds good, so we'll just leave it in there. I can't fix it now because it's already released. But then I have the choir, which is again a Nexus patch. However, this one Nexus choir, it sounds almost exactly the same as most of the choir sounds from like Omnisphere, so it's not a bad thing to use Nexus in this context. And it's literally just the bass, the piano, pluck, violin, choir, so that's the drop. And now we get to the interesting part. Wait, that wasn't interesting? No, it wasn't. We all know that it was boring as fuck. So, we get to the end of the drop. I'm just gonna play half of the drop first. So that you know how the drop sounds. But there's more. This is the second verse, which is not the same as the first. So we're gonna go over it element by element. So we have the breakdown. Listen to the sound of my voice. Soon you'll find you don't have a choice. Captured in the web of my soul. Soon you'll all be singing along. And it's very basic, this part of the track. I did use some effects on the vocals, so I'm gonna show that. Oh, we need to have the filter automation. Listen to the sound of my voice. Oh. So I used a phaser on the vocals, and I did that. I didn't mean to do that, but for some reason I accidentally partially ripped out my cable from my headphones, and the audio warped, which sounded like a phaser, and it sounded really cool. So I was like, yeah, I can just throw a phaser on there because it would sound really good, and it does sound pretty awesome to come out of the drop. Under a spell, listen to the sound of my voice. Since you know, she's saying, listen to the sound of my voice, and having an effect on there, and to have the violin play, do this. Listen to the sound of my voice. Have the violin use the exact same phaser patch, So having the violin play the exact same phaser patch, so the phasers move in sync. It really grabs the attention to the vocals, and then we just have have a slightly more energetic second verse. And then we come to the second piece of ear candy, the staccato violin. Because, I don't know why, but for some reason I think staccato violins are a signature of, mystique, evil. It just accentuates the fact that these are evil beings, and this song is a spell. A magical spell to drag out negative energy at Candlelit High. And I don't know why exactly, but the voice and the violin, they sound good together, and it just sounds dry without it, and just having a little violin in the background, it really adds a lot. Like, captured in the web of my soul. And now, captured in the web of my soul. It's just the little details, music production is all about, people always say production is reduction, and that's true, because 90% of all the work you do to make something sound good is take away frequencies. That's literally all you do. Take away frequencies. You have a lot of plugins have as their sole purpose to take away stuff. You have a de-esser, and that's basically the only one I can think about. Yeah, but, with an equalizer, you literally take away frequencies. You hardly ever boost anything. Only amateurs boost frequencies with an equalizer. Because for boosting stuff, you use a saturator or an amplifier. But it doesn't really matter because I'm not really an amateur anymore, and I don't do that kind of stuff anymore. But, yeah, this is just the second verse, a little more energetic. It's the beat, the bass, and in the second part, it's a violin. And now we come to the second pre-chorus, which is exactly the same. We've got the music makes you move it, got the song that makes you lose it. We say jump, you say how high, put your hands up to the sky. We've got the music makes you move it, got the song that makes you lose it. We say jump, you say how high, put your hands up to the sky. Yeah, so the rest of the track is exactly the same as the first pre-chorus and drop, so I don't really have to go into detail on that. I did do, if you wanna hear the whole picture, just go and listen to it. I'll put a link in the description. But yeah, I think that's all. I didn't really. Do I have any? Oh yeah. I knew I was forgetting something. So, what I also wanted to try, because, if you're doing a remix like this, you try. And what I usually do with a remix like this, which is, if I think a chorus is too short, I usually extend it by taking away the vocals and playing the melody with a lead sound. I know, very cheap, but usually it works. Except not this time. So I wanted to extend the song, and I did quite a bit. I added like 8 bars to the composition. 9, sorry. I added 9 bars, but that's all I could add because this song demands that the vocals run all the way through. I can't really explain it, but this is one of those songs where you can't just stop the vocals and do an instrumental part for 16 bars to extend it. That just doesn't work. I tried it, and it doesn't work. So, I needed to get creative, and the first chorus being only 4 bars is, especially for a hybrid orchestral track, it's short. It's way too short, and 4 bars, you finally get the energy going, and we're breaking down again. That just doesn't work. It works in the movie, because the song in the movie, the original, is a lot less energetic. There's a lot less going on. It's just a pop song, and the energy just runs through the entire thing. So there isn't really a climax and a breakdown. So that's why they can get away with a 4-bar chorus, and I couldn't, because there's a bit climactic. It's much more epic, orchestral. So yeah. And at first I wanted to do it at 110 beats per minute, so it's faster, because the original is at 104. But that would just make it way too short again. So yeah, this is what I did. It's the best version of this song that I could make in 3 hours. And yeah, that's basically it. If you want to know more about this track particular, just put it down in the comments and I'll answer it, maybe in a video, maybe in the comments. If you want to know something specific about sounds and plugins I used, feel free to ask. I think I got it all, but if things are unclear, just go ahead and ask. And well, thank you all for watching. I'll see you all in the next video. I hope my new microphone doesn't sound like shit. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.